The secret to making what is called massive gains in crypto has a lot to do with buying the dip on specific coins that bounce back the hardest. So after a big market sell-off, as we're just experiencing, many people, oftentimes newbies or new people, will search for the biggest discount instead of thinking like smart money that actually goes after momentum, because it's the coins that snap back the fastest after a crash are the ones that gain in attention, in liquidity, and insane gains as the next phase of the alt season takes off. So in today's show, I'm going to teach you how to identify these power moves and why focusing on strengths is the key to outperforming the crowd. And there's one coin that I'm watching closely right now because it's punching away way above its weight class. So let's dive in. Hi, my name is Jessica and I'm so happy you're here today. So without further ado, let us get started. Okay, so first off, as I said in yesterday's video, when it was gloom and doom and everyone was terrified, Bitcoin is back up again, reclaiming its $100,000 to $99,000 Bitcoin. So this is extremely bullish. And as I said yesterday, like this whole trade war situation wasn't going to last long. And we definitely saw that play out. We're going to get into that in larger detail in this video. But first and foremost, you would see, according to Quinton here, that there's a whole new wave, this blue part of the chart that I'm showing you, hopefully my face is not in the way. This demonstrates new whales in the market, and the orange color would demonstrate older whales, people that we've already known have big pockets and have been buying a lot. So he wraps this up by saying, do not get shaken out, because this is basically a signal of how perhaps these were like sleeping whales or just investors that weren't too excited by the market yet and didn't want to play the volatile times. Who knows? But the point is there's a lot of new, smart, big money entering the market. And if we take a zoom out, according to Rect Capital, they explain what has happened historically. And they say, and I read, the only time Bitcoin ever experienced downside in the month of February, ? This was 2014 and 2020. 2014 was a bear market year and 2020 a halving year, whereas we are currently in a post-halving year, so there's no necessary common denominator. In previous post-halving years, Bitcoin experienced the following upside in the month of February. So previously, and you may have heard this as well, and I have also shared this on my channel, historically, in a post-halving year, Bitcoin has experienced 61% increase in 2013, a 23% increase in 2017, and 36% in 2021. So historically, February tends to produce double-digit upsides with an average upside being of 14%. So this is very exciting and important for us to remember that despite what's going on in the news, historically we are during a good period, a good time in a post-halving year, since we just had our halving last year in April, I believe. But this is the very, very exciting news, is that every day Donald Trump has been delivering on his campaign promises. And as you can read on my screen here, his AI czar, crypto and AI czar, David Sachs from the All In podcast, is hosting a press conference today, guys. So if you're in the US, go check the news that's happening today in your time zone. I'm so excited and a little jealous. I wish I could be around for this, but this is fantastic news. He's basically going to be delivering his plan on how to help the US stay a leader in AI and crypto. As Runner XBT here on X summarizes it, he puts a little asterisk and he says they will discuss how the Trump administration and Congress will work together to secure America as a leader in the digital asset ecosystem. So this is tremendous, guys, and nice timing because as I was mentioning in my intro at the beginning of this video, yesterday was a scary day in the market, hence the price reflected this, because Donald Trump the day before had come out swinging with his, it was over the weekend. He came out swinging with his 100% tariff, warnings or threats to Mexico, Canada, and the 10% tariff on China, I believe. Anyway, it pretty much ended in 48 hours. That's what we can see here by the Kobesi Ladder account on X. They say, this is absolutely insane. Just 48 hours after the trade war began, President Trump has reached a deal with both Canada and Mexico. This includes both countries deploying 10,000 personnel to monitor the border and reducing the drug trade. U.S. tariffs on Canada and Mexico will be paused for at least 30 days as part of the deal. So he's giving them basically 30 days, or they asked for 30 days to get their business straight, to start blocking the border, and they're sending troops up there. Both Trudeau and the Mexican president, what's her name? Claudia Sheinbaum. Very interesting last name. Anyway, so the trade war is basically over. We still have China to deal with, but I'm sure it'll get resolved quickly. So there was so this whole AI SAR announcement by David Sachs comes in good timing. I like how he's stacking his business, like scary bad news to the market with bullish news coming to you on AI and crypto. So it's like, it's a good sandwich style. You know how they tell you when you give feedback to somebody, start with positive feedback, then give your real thoughts, the negative criticism, and then end it on a positive note. Well, it seems like Donald Trump is following a similar strategy. Either way, it's nice because too much intensity and fear and uncertainty into the market could really affect it, which would not be good. But that said, regarding tariffs, as Mario Nafal fills in for us here, apparently, as I was telling you, the U.S. was going to be imposing also 10% tax on China tariff. Apparently, China strikes back, hits U.S. energy and farm equipment with new tariffs. Beijing responds to Trump's tariff with targeted hits on American exports, from LNG to tractors. So key targets are 15% on coal, LNG, what is this, light and gas or something? The energy sector, basically, I think. 10% on crude oil, 10% on farming equipment, 10% on trucks over 5 tons. So China aims straight for America's energy agricultural sectors. Anyway, it'll be over soon, guys. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not sure exactly how long, but everyone wants to just get going, get business going, right? And part of making a good deal sometimes is letting the other party win a little bit on something. So I believe that Donald Trump's not going to go in there just trying to slay and dominate, but he's going to work out something that is beneficial to China as well, I believe. But we'll see. Next, this chart is just for your information, and it shows the like whom each state in the US primarily does international business with, imports and exports. And hopefully you can see clearly here, but for instance, Washington mainly does business with Canada, Oregon, Japan. I found that very interesting. California, China, all the southern states, mainly Mexico, the center states, Canada. Anyway, it's very interesting. Also very interesting to see that the East Coast primarily does a lot of business with Germany. So that's very, very interesting. And this is one of the most exciting facts to talk about in today's video, is the fact that Donald Trump is thinking outside of the box, above and beyond just a Bitcoin strategic reserve, but he's also thinking in terms of a sovereign wealth fund. So Forbes is covering him here. There's speculation on who will be in this wealth fund, but we have yet to see. And this is just a photo of him signing the executive order to create a United States sovereign wealth fund. Can you imagine the conversations he's having behind the scenes right now? It must be such an exciting and exhilarating role for him to be in as well. As much as it's heavy, I'm sure. That's phenomenal. Like, what an exciting role he's in. So anyway, just for some context, according to Amit Investing here on X, they say that just to give you some perspective and context, Saudi Arabia also has a sovereign wealth fund, and it's about 925 billion in assets under management. And then here by Jeff Walton, this is such a great breakdown for all of us to take into mind. So first, take a look at this photo, okay? So the gentleman on his right is the guy with this green tie here, and the man on his other side has a blue tie, okay? So let's read. The man on the right, that I showed you a moment ago with the green tie, is Howard Lutnick, the U.S. Secretary of Commerce. I did a whole video where I covered a little bit on his background. Okay, so Howard is also CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, right? A couple of fun details about Howard and Cantor Fitzgerald. Howard owns hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin, and it's going to be billions. And Cantor Fitzgerald owns 5% stake in Tether. It manages Tether's treasury asset. Cantor is launching a $2 billion Bitcoin financing lending business that would use Bitcoin as collateral for U.S. loans. Get that. We will build the best platform for financing Bitcoin. We are Cantor Fitzgerald, and we will support Bitcoin. These are all quotes from them. That's the guy that is running the US sovereign wealth fund. So let that sink in. Okay, someone who's so bullish on Bitcoin, so aggressive on Bitcoin, a whale that has a whole business model around commerce is going to be running the US wealth fund. So that's just so huge and so wonderful to know. Next, we have Eric Trump tweeting here that it's a great time to add ETH. He says, you can thank me later. So of course, this is intended to be as a subtle nudge or clue as to what is going to be added into the sovereign wealth fund, most likely. So this is some alpha for you. We know ETH is a giant in the space, but it has been struggling a bit lately, even though it's back up more or less to its original last all-time high. But that said, also to add to this case on ETH going up in value, we have World Liberty Finance, Trump's crypto project, accumulated 86,000 in ETH in the last 7 hours. So its holdings are now 421.7 million, with ETH at a 65.34 allocation. So they're definitely making a strong case for ETH. So anyway, moving on, if we take a look at how open interest is doing right now, essentially it seems like we've shaken off the hype to a large extent from the election. Because if we look at this chart, we would see that we're pretty much at pre-election levels on open interest. This basically means everyone who had perpetual or future contracts in, they've been closed out. So speculators, you can put it that way, right? Or day traders, or just traders in general, even though I know some hold longer term and are still holding now. But all of the froth basically from the election on people who were putting in bets, like those have been closed out. So in large regard, it's a healthy thing for the market. It's a healthy signal. And as Trader XO says here on X, he says, many may be thinking it's over for all. And he says, not really. You have to be realistic when managing expectations, especially the speed of which some of these cycles play out. This is so true because there's the general alt season, but then there's cycles within, right? I see them more as rotations now, as only a select few coins sustain multi-month runs. Most just last a few weeks, right? So if you are looking for something that's going to last long-term, you need to be looking at blue chips, right? He goes, adapt well, and the alt market offers plenty of opportunities to buy in and then sell before the hype wears out, right? So buy like a week or a week and a half into it. All this posturing about F bears, right? So he's talking about the general advice that's out there, right? On people being like, F the bears, or like, everyone who's bearish, opting basically for always hoping for higher highs, right? They often lead to trouble, blinding people to the downside risk as they become overly aggressive and blow out, right? So if you're new, I definitely don't recommend you be chasing everything unless it's literally your gamble, like your petty cash you're not gonna freak out about if you lose. And if you have been in the crypto market for at least one bull run, I would say you should hopefully know by now the general way it goes, especially if you've been tuning into my channel, where you should know it comes down to your risk profile as an investor. So how much do you want to put towards your retirement where you don't have to think about it, right? Like that would go into your Bitcoin. There's a whole strategy on this. And then you only want to put, then you put another big chunk into blue chips. And then from there you have your higher risk allocated money. And for that money, for your more risk adverse side, you just need to know and just when to jump in, when to jump out. And that's why it's very risky. But anyway, I agree with what he's saying. He says, end of the day conditions are and will once again be prime for those who can trade markets proficiently well. So it's like a trader's advice, right? And if you don't want to be stressing, then you just buy Bitcoin, you just buy Solana, and you buy select altcoins that I've been sharing here on my channel that I'm going to share, like what I'm going to share here in a minute as well. And then we have Ijaz, CryptoPunk 7213 on X saying, if it isn't already obvious, hot money or short-term traders drove, this is what I was saying earlier, is that it was like new sort of hot money that drove the AI market cap to its recent highs. Now we've seen it flush out. Profit taking happened and panic mode with this whole news of the tariffs and Bitcoin crashing, in large part probably due to large, big, smart money in the traditional finance world taking profits, right? They were trying to shake us out and they shook out all the new money. So now long-term supporters who have been studying can enter with conviction. I personally believe strong AI protocols will get the fundamentals bid similar to how top DeFi protocols did in 2021. My long-term bet is over time. Top AI protocols will dwarf most other sectors because their TAM is much larger than just DeFi. So I couldn't agree more with that. And if we take a look at which AI tokens did the best, despite the whole market being shaken, many by up to 80%, as you can see here by James Bull, the three that were completely unaffected were Hype, and Deep. So just to give you an idea, right, to validate my case for you today. So according to OX Jeff, they share this breakdown, right, on AI agents, on why AI agents are bouncing back the quickest. So he goes on to say, the market had a massive sell-off because of Trump's tariff announcement, right, with this fear of a trade war with Mexico, Canada, and China. So now the fear is suspended for the next 30 days because that was part of the negotiation. So on top of it, now today, Trump has signed an executive order to establish a sovereign wealth fund. And then we have David Sachs about to give a press conference, as I was saying earlier. AI agents, the AI agent market made a sharp recovery with many categories pumping 20 to 70% in the last 24 hours, right? To lay some context for you on where we're going with all of this. So disclaimer to this was that many of these picks have thin liquidity. So when they dump hard, and when they pump hard as well. So make sure to do your own research before thinking about investing in any of them. Make sure it's your own decision and don't get FOMO'd into trades. That said, Swarm performs best, like the best percentage-wise, primarily due to SNAE. That's who we're talking about, guys, in today's video. They are getting accepted into NVIDIA's Inception program for startups. That is so bullish. Next, Swarms and Spore also performed well next to SNAE, right? Only next to SNAE, sorry. How amazing is that? And then according to Swarm Node here, you can see that how much they've been pumping in the last few hours to days. And here's the official announcement by Swarm Node for SNAE showing they were accepted into NVIDIA's Inception program for startups. This is very exciting and bullish for me to hear because it tells us that this smart team of AI developers that were probably all bootstrapping it themselves with their own money are now going to be and have come so far. They're now going to be getting proper guidance and go-to-market advice and advisors and funding by NVIDIA's Inception program. So that just tells us they're going to take it to the next level. So it definitely breeds a lot of confidence in me. Not only that, and you can check out this quick video, or just go follow Erhan K. I'll play it for you. Here we go. Basically, Swarm Node has also now integrated into Zapier, which allows you now to basically use the power of Swarm Node and integrate it with an app like your email or a chat bot or with any other, I don't know, you can probably integrate it with your trading account. I don't know, but listen to this.
So Swarm Node is now integrated onto Zapier. So Zapier have a platform called Agents, and that's actually been live for 6 months or so. But Swarm Node, I believe, is one of the first, if not the first, Web3 related AI agents that's launched onto Zapier. So now you can connect your AI agents with 7,000 apps instantly, Google Drive, Slack, you name it. Now, the reason that I'm excited about this is because basically you can then surely connect your Web2 apps to your Web3 apps. So for example, if we have an AI agent using Swarm Node that's checking the blockchain for whale movements, or potentially to see which projects have been getting more token holders or which projects are getting absolutely wrecked on chain, we should be able to set up basically notifications to Web2 apps, let's say Slack, let's say Gmail, anything, Telegram even, or anything that actually can come to mind that can actually notify you to take action, or can, you know, basically trigger any kind of research that you might need to take action on what's actually going on chain.
Amazing.
It could be for a newsletter, a tweet. You know, you can automate all these kinds of things. So Swarmnode is now integrated onto Zapier.
How awesome is that? Go check them out. Go check out Zapier. This is amazing. And this, okay, so this is good perspective from a diehard or like super fan, right? Or like, anyway, let's take a read. His name is Umar, and he says, Snay gives me Griffin vibes. Griffin.com went from 33 million to 3 million, yet the community believed in the tech. Community believed in the tech, up to 600 million as their all-time high. So Snay is similarly going through its early stages, 40 days since its launch, like that's it. And now it's achieved so much. The community believes in the tech. Now they're going to be incubated by NVIDIA's Inception program. So yeah, I do see a lot of potential in Snay. And if we compare Snay's potential success to Griffin, then you would see that Griffin, this orange line here, and how well it's been performing in the last day. Moving on, according to Cash here on X as well, and wrapping up the video, you would see that also these are the top 3 coins per mindshare. And these are AI16Z, which I've shared on my channel, ARC, and now Snay, guys. So if you're looking for a strong play on a potential blue chip that is now demonstrating through its news of entering into such a prestigious program like NVIDIA's Inception program for startups, this really is a strong signal to me. So I topped up right before this video, and I would just encourage you to go check them out, do your own research, of course, go read more about them, but they do sound very promising to me. But all right, guys, exciting days ahead, and I will catch you guys here tomorrow where we'll cover the effects that David Sachs' speech on AI and crypto and the effects it had on the market and what it speaks of the future. So guys, that said, I love you very much, and I'll catch you guys here tomorrow. Ciao.